something in this. I might think there is an unrealized need. How do I know that that is really there? I might think about there is an unrealized need in the market. Is it really there? Is the need? How do you sometimes?
See, the only way of doing that is by consumer interactions, by meeting your consumer face to face, or hiring a market research company to look at it for you. So, for example, in the Live On, when we did the study for them, we went out to study women hair issues that they had. Okay, the company did not know that they were going to come back saying that hair breakage is an issue. It was an unrealized need at that time. So that's one way of finding out needs. But I'm saying as entrepreneurs, you all should start thinking this way, that there are needs that I need to satisfy. And what are these needs? Is it a pressing need? Is it an urgent need? Is it a need that, meaning it doesn't make a difference to my life if it is there or not there?
See, when we talk about going out and understanding the need of the customer, let's take a classic example, iPhone. It was never based on any need of the customer. Steve Jobs clearly stated that, I think this is what I need, and the customer also needs this. It's not open to any changes. You cannot customize it. It's the way it is. Then you have to use it the way it is. So it's creating a need to the customer.
It is an unrealized need that he created. Why do you think it's a
yeah, but when you say for unrealized, you have to go out and understand your customer. Actually,
I didn't say that. I said one of the ways to do that is that you can get lucky sometimes and come up with a need that you think is felt. And so the iPod, in fact, is an example of an unrealized need. There were lots of MP3 players, but the iPod came and revolutionized the way people listen to music. Okay, it was an unrealized need. People didn't know they needed something like an iPod. I don't know if they did market research for it or not, but
that's what they thought that they have now done it.
Good things to say in the, once you actually have a good.
Can I address this a little? Oftentimes people say that Steve Jobs didn't believe in market research, which is not true. He believed in his market research. He did an enormous amount of consumer interactions on his own. Enormous means seriously enormous. He studied consumers on his own. Now, if you can do that, wonderful. You don't need a market research company. But most people can't. So there is a certain element of being able to meet consumers, to be able to have a gut feeling, and to trust your gut. Okay? It requires lots of courage to be able to do that.
So coming back to the task at hand, identify needs of the consumer, realize, unrealized, satisfied, unsatisfied, doesn't matter. Find a need that is unsatisfied, yeah, you innovate to address the need. But what is innovation? Innovation is the mixing of two ideas, the mixing of three ideas. So somewhere those things are being satisfied in various elements, but combining everything together and bringing it up, that's innovation. And I urge you all to think out of the box as much as you can. Okay, things that you haven't thought before. anyone has finished, do they want to read out what they've written needs wise?
I'm not sure if I've completed it, but I'll just give it a shot. See, in my business, we offer a unique way to discover a lot of local experiences. Okay, which can range right from hot air ballooning to yacht trips to scuba diving to say a tree house stay. So most of the stuff that there are for my consumer, I believe most important thing is having a need to discover something new, to explore something new. So they should have an inherent feel to, okay, let's do something different. Let's stay somewhere else apart from the same regular resort on this weekend. Let's do something different with my girlfriend, for example. So he will do that for a couple of reasons.
So the important thing is you define the consumer here,
right.
Not define the need.
Right, I'm coming to that.
Okay.
So why will they do that? The need will be to explore something new every time, for personal satisfaction, one, for bragging rights, two, third, to impress somebody else with whom he might be going with. Fourthly, to meet new people who might be doing those activities. So I would like to meet somebody else who does a particular adventure activity. So I would like to meet new people. So I feel these three things are the most important needs my consumer might be having.
Are these needs being satisfied currently?
Yes, by a lot of unorganized players, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So once you write down your needs, then you re-look at your needs and say, are these being satisfied? And if being satisfied, the yes answer or the what is satisfying these needs again goes into your competition. Okay. So that way your list of competition will increase. Right? Now let's get to the thick of it. Okay, positioning. Yep.
The order that you are suggesting in the flow of your presentation, is that the order you suggest that we think about our startup, like product, competition, consumer, and then needs?
And then relook at it. So ideally what you would do is you would write down on one sheet of paper your product, one sheet of paper your competition, one sheet of, okay, and keep it in front of you as you're going ahead. Suddenly you might get a thought about, my product has this other dimension, put it down. My competition is there, put it down. It's an organic list.
Shouldn't like you just mentioned that needs will tie up into the competition. Shouldn't needs come before, like after product, maybe you should define your needs, the need of the consumer or the consumer first.
It's not necessary, because once you know your competition, you know what your competition is satisfying or how it's satisfying those needs. So, you can do it either way, but the important thing is to have all this stuff in front of you so that you can constantly refer to it and change it. So don't be shy, don't hesitate to knock off something from the list and put something new. Okay. Why are we doing this? We're doing this because ultimately you're trying to arrive at positioning, and positioning is how your product is held in someone's mind. So if the product is held in your mind clearly, you'll be able to communicate that more clearly. So positioning is the placement of your brand in the mind of the consumer. How does he perceive it? How does he hold it? What does he associate with it? What are his perceptions, attitudes and opinions regarding your products? Okay. Let's look at perceptions, attitudes and opinions for a minute. What does it mean? Perception is, as soon as you look at something, what are your first reactions to that? Those are your perceptions. What is your attitude? As soon as you make judgments about it, okay, so I do not like the green color of Vispy is an attitude. Okay. As soon as I tell it to a class of people, then it becomes an opinion. Okay, so I do not like green and everyone saying, Ashton doesn't like green. That becomes an opinion. Alright. What is important is that opinions are the toughest to change regarding a product or anything. Attitudes are easier and perceptions are the easiest to change. So in things like when you do your repositioning, you need to look at these things as well. Right? Examples of positioning. Move is a back pain specialist that will not stain your clothes. Okay? It's a clear, crisp line, and ultimately that's the holy grail. That's what we need to get into. Okay, a clear, crisp line about how you're going to describe your product. Thumbs up is a drink for man of action. Live-on hair serum that prevents hair loss while minimizing hair breakage. Okay, very simple. If you read these, you immediately understand what this product is about. You immediately understand what the benefit is. Okay, so these are very good positioning statements. The same products can be hashed like this. Okay. Bad examples of positioning would be move is a balm used on the body to relieve pain. Okay. This is too open-ended, too global. The positioning is not sharply defined. Okay. It's exactly the same thing. I'm saying the same thing up and I'm saying the same thing at the bottom. But I've defined move as a back pain specialist. It means that as soon as someone thinks about the back, someone's going to think about move. They're not going to think about iodex because iodex is for knees and other joint pains. Okay. Clearly defined, airy-fairy. Thumbs up is a gassy cola drink. Can be defined as that also. Okay. Bad definition, bad positioning. Live-on prevents hair breakage and gives silky shiny hair. You can't give two benefits that are unrelated. What does silky shiny hair have to do with hair breakage? Okay. So positioning needs to latch on to what you think is the most important need and how it is being satisfied. Branding is a part of positioning. Branding is the visualization of a product in the eyes of the consumer. Alright? We will look at branding now later. But what I want you to do is, and this is going to be difficult, okay? But I want you to look at everything that you'll have currently written down. Look at the important elements that are there, okay? And try and come up with a positioning statement. Not a paragraph, okay? A positioning statement. How would you best define your product? Yeah, thank you. Do you think you can do it? Difficult? Feel free to sketch it out, rewrite it, change words, whatever.
Can there be multiple positions like this?
If you're targeting multiple kinds of consumers, but that's more difficult. So try and keep one consumer in your mind and try and identify one positioning statement that you think best would hold in the mind of the consumer. See, the reason you position your product is because the consumer's mind can only handle about 3 brands or 4 brands of a particular kind of product. Okay? So hence positioning becomes important. You're constantly fighting for this thing called mind space. So how do you displace a brand that is currently there by your brand? The only way is by being more relevant. Okay, so your positioning statement needs to be as relevant as possible to the person. Alright, we're running out of time, so I'll just hurry up a little. Let's look at branding. Okay, branding consists primarily of the intangibles, things that add emotion to the brand, things that connect with the consumer at more than just the utilitarian level. Okay, so far we've all thought about our products primarily at a utility level. How is it connecting? Kaise use hoga? What is it going to do with the product? Okay. Branding gives your product a form that the consumer can hold in his mind. Hence, branding and positioning go hand in hand. Both have to be aligned. Okay, so you cannot have a very serious brand with a very frivolous name. Or you cannot have a serious brand with a funky logo or a clown on it. Okay, both have to go hand in hand. Both have to describe each other. Remember, whatever you do that the consumer sees affects your branding. Okay. Wherever the consumer interacts with the company, a perception is created. This perception affects your brand. In fact, earlier on you asked the question, so if I'm the promoter, I'm the salesman and I'm going to interact with the consumer, where's the positioning or where's the branding in that? The way you interact, the way you dress, what you say, that's all part of the brand, that's all part of the positioning. Okay? Because that is how the consumer is seeing you. So let's look at some key components of brands. Okay. First of all, brand name. Without that, how can you hold your brand in the mind? Okay. Then the logo. After that, the symbol. Okay, there's a difference between a logo and a symbol. Okay. For us, this is the logo, but only the orb is a symbol. Okay, so you need to break these elements up. What is a symbol? What is a logo?
What is emblem?
Symbolish. So an emblem is normally not used for companies, it's used normally for like a sports team or something would have an emblem. Companies would have logos. How you would hold it in your mind? Logo with a name is a symbol with a name is a logo. Without the name is just a symbol. That. So
what is emblem?
Emblem is, how do you define it? Emblem is
a symbol and a logo are long-term properties of the brand and its image. An emblem is something short-term that you use for a particular event or something.
So like Smash Up would be an emblem.
Smash Up would be an emblem. It's not a long-term thing.
Right? Then the brand has to have a particular personality. Is your brand formal or informal? Is it cool? Is it professional? Is it modern? Is it minimalistic? Is it friendly? Is it warm? Is it inviting? Okay. These are elements that you need to add into your brand. These are elements that you need to add into every interaction that the consumer has with your brand or with your product. Does the brand stand for anything? Social conscience. Okay. Brand identity. What is that one unique thing that will remind people of your brand? So Emirates has a particular font type. Okay, and whenever you see that font type, you remember Emirates. Nike has a swoosh. Okay, Google's colors. Okay, you put Google or you put that Gogola, that Gola. So those colors are there. It reminds you of Google. Westin Hotel has a Mandarin smell. So wherever you go in the hotel, you have this smell of Mandarin that comes and greets you. And wherever you smell Mandarin, you immediately think of Westin Hotels. Okay. You can have brand ambassadors. You can have brand associations. Standard Chartered associated with the marathon. Every time you think of a marathon, the first thought that comes to your mind is Standard Chartered. Okay. IPL and DLF. Okay. Brands can have taglines. Nike, just do it. Okay. Just do it is not the positioning. Just do it is a tagline that you have to hold the brand in your mind. Okay. This will take time. Okay. So make notes, go back home, and then start thinking about how you're going to define your brand. You have a product, you have your positioning, how are you going to layer it with emotion? So one way is, for example, what Move did. Okay, Move was a back pain specialist, balm, back, nothing to do with emotions. But what it did was, it says that Move will make you a better mother. Why? Because from our research we found out that mothers felt sad that they could not play with their children because they had a backache. So move, removes backache, helps you play with children, becomes a better mother. Now what's a better line to have, or what is a better positioning? Back pain specialist or makes you a better mother? It's amazing. Okay, so that's what branding can do to you. And the last thing, communication. Okay, someone asked the question, is this only for big companies? What about advertising? So I have positioning, I have branding, but if I'm not a big company, I can't afford advertising. There are multiple ways of communicating. Just positioning and branding is of no use if a consumer doesn't know about it. Hence, communication becomes very important as a tool. Communication is not always expensive. Okay, advertising is one way of communicating and is expensive. Everyone knows that. But there are many below the line initiatives that can be taken up, and these initiatives are only limited by creativity. Okay, there are a number of ways that you can address your consumer, interact with your consumer, tell your consumer about your product, and you need to think about these ways of interacting with them. Another important thing is your website. Okay, everyone should have a website because everyone's on the net right now. So how is your website? What is the look feel of your website? How do people interact with your website? Very important. Web presence. Are you on LinkedIn? Are you on Facebook? Are you tweeting? If it's relevant to your target audience, you all should be doing that. Right? These are important initiatives and not very expensive to do. Forming a communication strategy is key. How will you target the right consumer? Important, right consumer. So that he is aware of your product, and then so that he gets positioned, so that the product gets positioned in his mind, and finally becomes a brand image. Okay, so this is your ultimate route that you need to take. So the two things that you all will do at home, because you run out of time right now, is positioning and the branding. Okay, how are you going to position your brand, and how are you going to brand it with emotions? And finally, in the end, the purpose of today's workshop was to see how to look at our products differently, how to make our products a brand our consumers will be proud to use, and a brand we would be proud to own. So important, owning a brand, and that's what you do. All right, thank you. If there are any questions or anything, we're here.
Are you going to put up these slides somewhere?
Guys, please wait for a minute. Thanks.
I can mail it to you, no problem.
Yeah.
Key components of brand.
The conclusion was product.
The conclusion one.
Thank you guys, thanks a lot.
Thank you.
So on behalf of TIE, we'd like to thank Vispy and Aswin. We have a tradition at TIE that we make a donation on their behalf to Midday Meal Scheme. And I'd like to thank them for being here and taking part in our initiative. Could you please give a round of applause to both Vispy and Aswin.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.